magic mirror on the wall? Who's the fairest one of all?
Let's see.
Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you? Spare me your white savior complex. I don't need anything from someone like you.
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
I'm really sorry. I was just trying to be kind.
Kind? If you want to be kind, disappear and take the patriarchy with you. Seriously, go away, stalker. You're weird. Weird.
My queen, you're the fairest, but no longer the most evil.
Wait, what?
Well, the long-awaited release of Disney's live-action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs approaches, and as we near that fateful day, one can only wonder, why? Why does Disney insist on making what appears to be an abominable affront to Walt Disney's first-ever animated feature film, a beloved classic? Short answer, greed and short-sightedness. Disney execs, they're out of touch with what the audience wants. They have been for decades now. Sure, every once in a while we'll get a good movie, but for the most part they have released dud after dud after dud. An audience, including this lifelong Disney nerd, has grown tired of getting served slop at the theaters. Not to mention the disrespect shown to the original movie, and the fan baiting. If you're a Star Wars fan, you know what I mean by fan baiting. They always blame the fans when things don't perform, or when an actress is throwing a hissy fit. While some of their live-action forays have been successful, most of them have been lackluster flops. Did you even know there was a Peter Pan movie called Peter and Wendy that they put on Disney Plus? Well, I wouldn't have heard of it, even being a Disney fan, former Disney fan. I hadn't heard of it until YouTubers started talking about how awful it was. Same for their new Pinocchio. They were both dropped unceremoniously on Disney Plus, just like Lady and the Tramp was. If you didn't know, there's a new Lady and the Tramp too. Live action Lady and the Tramp. Exclusive to Disney Plus. They weren't released in theaters. I decided not to waste any of my the hours of my life on these movies. But this Snow White movie, what is it about this movie that's got everyone so riled up? Well, we're about to get into it. We'll start with the initial announcement of the movie and what followed shortly after. This was a couple of years ago. It was first announced, been in production for a while. Peter Dinklage opened his mouth about it, shortly after it was announced. I'm about to open this up to the floor. Exhibit A. Peter Dinklage criticizes Disney.
Peter Dinklage isn't feeling Disney's upcoming live-action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
There's a lot of hypocrisy going on, I gotta say, from being somebody who's a little...
Oh, before I play anymore, this guy apparently gets drunk a lot off set, and I guess he was drunk on set of Game of Thrones. But yeah, that's what I've heard, is that he drinks a lot. So he may have been drunk when he gave this interview, but that still doesn't excuse what he says.
A bit unique.
The Game of Thrones star, who has a form of dwarfism, slammed Disney during an interview on Marc Maron's WTF podcast, saying that while he thinks the studio took one step forward casting the lead, they took two giant steps backward, perpetuating old stereotypes.
I was a little taken back by they're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White.
Yeah.
But you're still telling the story of Snow
Still
White,
Snow White, yeah.
and Seven Dwarfs.
Sure.
So take a step back and look at what you're doing there. It makes no sense to me. You're
What I wondered when I heard him say this stuff was, does he realize that the dwarves in the story, they're supposed to be, fantasy dwarves, not actual dwarves from the real world? Like, this is a fairy tale, and these are fairy tale creatures. They're not actual little people. I just wonder if he, made that distinction at any point. Doesn't seem like it.
progressive in one way, but you're still making that fucking backward
Oh,
story of
back-
7 dwarves living in a cave. What the?
Also, he doesn't know the story, obviously, because they weren't living in a cave. They worked in a cave, they mined in a cave, but they lived in a cottage. That's Snow White comes across their cottage and ends up staying with them. So he obviously doesn't know the story at all. He just sees the dwarves as a stereotype of little people, which they're not. they're fairy tale dwarves that mine for gold, silver, and jewels. Not the dwarves he's thinking about.
What are you doing, man?
Following Peter's remarks, a spokesperson for Disney told ET in a statement, quote, "To avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, we are taking a different approach with these 7 characters and have been consulting with members of the dwarfism community."
So Disney ends up capitulating to him, and they decide not to even use little people. So then we get images of regular sized people coming out. So everybody thinks they're supposed to be taking the place of the dwarves. I probably need to show that image. Let's see. It's 7 bandits. They're called. So this is an extra set of characters that's supposed to be showing up. Let's see if I can find this image. I saw it earlier. 7 bandits. Yeah. Here it is. I saw this and I'm like, wait, what? Is this supposed to be the dwarves? What is this? Show you. Here it is. Not that. Here. Cool. Yeah. Okay. That's supposed to be. I think that's supposed to be the prince in front of them, or at least her love interest. And then this obviously is a stunt double in front of them, dressed like her. But see, we were getting this image floating around, and so we're like, "Whoa, what?" All right, it's the 7 diverse group of random people. It's not the dwarves. We got one little guy here, but the rest, very eclectic group of people, one could say. So everybody thought this was a joke as soon as they saw this. But it all stemmed from him, like his comments. Disney starts changing things like right off the bat to capitulate to the people complaining, which is just like a couple people. When Peter Dinklage says all this stuff, though, wait, watch. See, he thinks he's like the spokesman for all little people actors. He was getting put into a few projects because of Game of Thrones. Most notably, he's from the movie Elf, and what else was he in? Cyrano. I think that's how you say it. But he hasn't done a whole lot outside of Game of Thrones. X-Men: Days of Future Past. He played Bolivar Trask in that, who wasn't traditionally a little person character. They just made him a little person in that, just to put him in there. So instead of being grateful for his position, for his notoriety, he's taken to complaining about innocuous things. And because of this, because of his complaints, he's he's lost 7 little people jobs. So now that he's said all this, little people, famous little people come out, decrying him for what he said. Because he cost them potential jobs. And the reason for this is because they said there's not that many jobs for little people in Hollywood because they make it that way, Like the new Time Bandits show. I don't think they use little people for that either. They're just pushing out all the little people parts. So his comments did not do anyone any good. He just started running his mouth. We know now because now they're using CGI dwarves, and we've all seen the images for it. It looks horrible. Now let's look at the next thing. This is oh crap, close. Get off of this. Get off of this. Get off of this. I got a few things I want to look at. After that, we got about a year ago. Rachel Zegler starts running her mouth. Thing we know about. I had the clips pulled up. Let's see. And I got like a compilation of stuff she said that I was gonna look at. Apple. Thought I did. Let me look at it real quick. While I do that, I'll play another. That's right. Where's it at? It's in my list of bookmarks. Be here. Oh, it's an AI thing. I'll have to show this.
Once upon a time, in a kingdom where fairy tales were deemed too outdated to endure, a classic story has been rewritten, whether anyone wanted it to be or not. This holiday season, meet Snow Woke, a perfect heroine for a modern world. She's brilliant, unstoppable, and doesn't need anyone to save her. But every perfect protagonist needs an imperfect villain. Enter the extremely ugly evil queen, a woman so dazzlingly beautiful, so perfectly poised, so annoyingly photogenic that she's been branded the greatest threat to Snow Woke's kingdom. Why? Because she refuses to stop being the fairest of them all. And she has the audacity to think that's okay. Armed with a magic mirror and a closet full of ethically sourced couture, the queen will stop at nothing to preserve her title as fairest of them all. But Snow Woke isn't having it. She's too busy dismantling outdated hierarchies and leading her team of allies toward a brighter, fairer future. She's joined by the 7 people of short stature, a diverse and dynamic team who share her vision of
Mark
justice
Hamill.
and equality.
That looks like
Together,
Catholic
they'll
Kennedy.
face the Queen's toxic beauty standards
gee.
and make sure the
Watch-
kingdom
watch.
learns that fairness is more than skin deep.
Right there, Peter
Don't
Dinklage.
expect a prince to save the day. He's here to listen, learn, and politely step aside when Snow Woke explains why his role is unnecessary. Will Snow Woke and her allies overcome the Queen's relentless selfies and sorcery? Or will the story end with a stirring lecture instead of a happily ever after? Snow Woke and the Extremely Ugly Evil Queen. Coming soon.
Coming soon. This is from AI Trailer Home. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. I found the compilation I was looking for. I'm about to share that. Okay, and we're going to just go through this piece by piece. Ouch. All right. Pulling it up. Present.
You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a
Yeah, so
big
she immediately starts trashing the original movie here.
focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't
Yeah,
do
so that clip has gone around a lot. The weird. And yeah, her immediately saying like their love story is not going to be the focus. People are like, wait, what? I thought that was the whole, like that was the main point of the original.
that this time.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Celebrity Expert, your number one source for all things
She's just so full of herself, obviously.
TV shows and celebrities.
Oh, and by the way, anyone can see that the evil queen is way prettier than Snow White in this. I don't know why they always do this. They make the evil queen so much hotter than Snow White in these adaptations. Once upon a time, Regina. That was my main reason to watch that show. What's that? Oh, Snow White and the Huntsman. Same thing. Charlize Theron. I mean, come on.
Today's video, we are going to explain the controversy surrounding the Snow White movie and everything that you need to know.
She's so focused on becoming the leader that her father tells her that she can be, and she's really trying to find the courage to stand up to the evil queen and how to find her own agency and rule a kingdom. And she meets so many incredible
Yeah, see, that wasn't in the original.
people along the way, and maybe she finds love, maybe she finds friendship, but really what's important is that she finds her own voice.
Before we begin with this video, here's a quick and easy question for you.
Because her voice was oppressed.
Can you all tell us when the movie Snow White is going to release? If you know the right answer, let us know in the comment section down below, or stick to the end of the video, which is when I'm going to reveal the answer to this question.
Jeff and Amy were reading lines, and then our director Mark Webb on Zoom was like, you know, and then Dopey's gonna look at you and whistle, and I took a pause and realized what I was auditioning for, and then it became like I will elbow everyone out of the way to play that part. But it was very sweet.
The way she talks about the original doesn't make her sound like a fan. But then at the same time, she's like, "Oh, this is a dream come true! Oh my god!"
And it was a very short audition process for me.
Disney's upcoming live-action version of Snow White has somehow managed to become controversial despite the fact that it has not come out yet. And if you're wondering
What you mean somehow?
why, fair warning, you're about to enter an entire discourse. All videos of Rachel talking about Snow White have resurfaced on TikTok and people are taking issue with her comments. This has led to a larger and somewhat exhausting
I've gotten to the most
with
replayed part of this
conservatives
video.
complaining that Disney movies are becoming too woke.
I have to pretend like, oh god, well, crazy that we're in front of this.
Wait, how often are you in line for the Snow White ride?
I'm a narcissist.
Yeah, we know.
I don't know. It's always like my publicist Ashton was with me the last time it happened, and I was like, God, I hope no one, because every time they come up to me, I'm always online for this freaking ride.
There's also backlash to the backlash as fans defend Rachel from the mess. So yeah, it's a lot. But if you feel like engaging in this discourse, here's a quick breakdown. First up, Rachel's interviews. In an old interview with Entertainment Weekly, Rachel said the original Snow White is extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power and what a woman is fit for in the world.
I just get to pinch myself every day because I am the biggest Disney fan that I know. Whether it comes to parks, the movies, Pixar, Disney.
Name more than 10 movies.
Disney Plus, all the Disney Channel shows. I've been obsessed my whole life, so I feel very, very blessed to be playing Snow White so much.
Wonderful. And then tell us about playing opposite, Gal Gadot. What do you think about her take as the evil queen?
It seems so fake.
She's terrifying. She's terrifying. It's gonna shock audiences how she can really tap into that evil queen. It's really, really wonderful, and we had a lot of fun.
And in a separate old interview, Rachel noted that in the original Snow White, there's a big focus on her love story with
I forgot she was in the Many Saints of Newark. I knew she was in West Side Story. What else? She was in what you call it? Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, the Hunger Games prequel recently, and then Shazam 2, which flopped. All these movies that she's been in, they have not done well. Spielberg made the mistake of not putting subtitles in West Side Story. I heard that. Why would you not do that?
the guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time. She also said that the new version is really not about the love story at all, but focuses on Snow White's inner journey.
I know that chick,
she
the
goes on to
interviewer.
find
I knew that chick.
her true self. At this same red carpet event, Rachel also said her Snow White is not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming
He's not going to be saved by the prince. I wonder if she got that
the
clip.
leader
Where's
she
that?
knows she can be and the leader that
There's
her
more
late
clips.
father told her that she could be.
Difficult question. Scar, love Scar, because that's like some pure evil. Like he really, really kills that guy. He kills Mufasa. That's crazy.
Yeah, she had to think about his name. She really kills that guy.
Claude Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame, because it's
Okay, she
really
knows some characters.
nasty, because it's about like very real things. And then Hades from Hercules.
So why are people so upset about Rachel's quotes? Fans of the original Snow White feel like Rachel has misunderstood the movie and are wondering why she took the role if she herself was not a fan of the original. And again, some people feel like rewriting an iconic Disney princess to be someone dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be is pseudo-feminism. It was right there in the title, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And indeed, the band of little people, Dog, Grumpy, Sleepy, Happy, Bashful, Sneezy, and
Yeah, first thing they did was take them out the title and just make it Snow White.
Dopey, who helps Snow White survive into the woods following a death sentence from the evil queen.
The ongoing theory is that they weren't going to put the dwarves in it at all. Like they just have be magical creatures, and that was the story coming out. Like they were going to be like CGI magical creatures from the get-go. So I guess they weren't even going to use little people actors from the start.
Have always been an integral part of the heroine's story. How is Disney going to handle these characters in a new age, an evolved age in which we are far more sensitive to how we portray people with dwarfism has become a major touch point in discourse around the movie.
Oh, you've been singing all week. How is Snow White going? You're starring in Snow White, the new version. How's it going?
Who is this interviewer?
It's going really, really well. We're having so much fun on set. It's so magical. And every day I'm just pinching myself that I'm a freaking Disney princess. It's so stupid.
In July 2023, a leaked photo from
Here's
the set
the
of Snow
photo.
White showed what appeared to be a stand-in for Snow White along with a crew of 7 co-stars of diverse ethnicity, gender and height, and was quickly lambasted by conservative media. Snow White and the 7 politically correct
Conservative
champions.
media.
The Daily Mail captioned its exclusive paparazzi pic. Here's that
Politically
take
correct
expanded upon
companion.
via TikToker at Cozy with Angie, who said, "Not every woman is a leader. Not every woman wants to be a leader. Not every woman wants or craves power, and that's okay. It's not anti-feminist."
Reacting to, but I saw the logo and I got really emotional. I also heard everybody like screaming and I got really excited, which means they must have liked it. But I know how I felt making it, and so hearing everybody's reception of it being so excited and screaming and cheering is so, it just fills your heart
This one
with
I
such
don't think I
gratitude.
saw.
Really, it does.
Oh, that's a Shazam.
While the representation of Disney princess in live-action remakes is certainly worthy of Non's discussions, a lot of people have pointed out that attacking Rachel for her comments is completely unnecessary and unhelpful. Some points are being made here. Twitter user Julia says Miss Rachel should not be in such hot water over saying Snow White was not ahead of its time, to be honest, and the remake is going to attempt more feminism.
Everyone on West Side Story has so much stuff. Ariana DeBose has like a poster from the set. I have nothing.
That's
from the
amazing.
set. I have nothing.
Here's
Now it's the time to reveal the answer to the question I
Next
asked you
bit.
all at the beginning of the video. So the movie Snow White is going to release on 22nd March 2024. If you all got
March.
this
Oh,
answer
God.
right, then you are a huge fan of Snow White.
It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024.
Okay, that's enough of that. Here recently, she said some things that have gotten her under fire. She said some things about conservatives, after Trump won. Again, bring it back to politics. They always got to do that. What was it she said? Let's see. Because I almost forgot about that. She just said that, like, not long ago. I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leading us towards a world I do not want to live in. Leading us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in. What daughter? You don't have a daughter. Let me show you this. Leading us towards a world that will force her to have a baby she doesn't want. Leading us towards a world that is fearful. I shouldn't be this shocked, but I am. Oh, okay. She's one of those that never capitalizes eyes. I am heartbroken for my friends who awoke feared this morning. And I am here with you. She must have been drunk. To cry, to yell, to hug, to wax poetic on how the left continues to fail us in forging a new path forward. This law should not have been, and it certainly should not have been by so many votes. I echo Ethel Kane's statement. Who the hell is Ethel Kane? I don't know who that is. More than anything, may Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. Yeah, she released this like right after the election, then apologized shortly after, when there was backlash. I would like to sincerely apologize for the election post I shared on Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding, and I am sorry I contributed to the negative discourse, the actress said on Thursday night. That was was that 2 days after the election? She went on to say that she believes everyone has a right to their opinion, even when it differs from my own. I am committed to contributing positively towards a better tomorrow. Yeah, like you were when you made that original post. See, they get backlash, so they're forced to apologize. That's usually how it goes with these people. Ridiculous. Let's see, next. We got a brain dead article. I love those. I'll watch this. Chick. Everything we know about Rachel Zegler's Snow White. The Snow White trailer is here! And okay, y'all need to proofread your stuff, because you got the word and then you got the symbol for and right next to it. Who put this together? Chloe Williams, entertainment editor, serves as B+C's entertainment editor and resident Taylor Swift expert. Okay. Whether she's writing a movie review or interviewing the stars of the latest hit show, Chloe loves exploring why stories inspire us. You can see her work published in BuzzFeed, Coastal Review, and North Beach Sun. When she's not writing, Chloe's probably watching a Marvel movie with a cherry Coke or texting her sister about the latest celebrity news. Say hi at her socials. Nice picture of Rachel Zegler. She's not unattractive. She's semi-attractive. She's like a 6, I guess. Following in the footsteps of Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and Little Mermaid, there's a new live Disney movie in the works. A live-action Snow White. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes actress Rachel Zegler stars as Snow White in the new iteration, and this weekend we get the first official look at the film. We got the first official. This was December 3rd. No, we gotten looks before, official looks before that. Snow White has faced plenty of controversy this year, from the actress' comments to the costumes to the rest of the cast, but I'm actually excited for it. I'll see any story that places women at the forefront. Here's everything you need to know about the new live-action Snow White coming in 2025. Well, yes, the Snow White trailer is here, and I can't stop watching. Rachel Zegler's vocals, Gal Gadot's mystery, and the handsome Jonathan, because FYI, Rachel clarified that the movie will feature romance, telling Variety that I would never want to box someone in and say, if you want love, then you can't work. Or if you want to work, then you can't have a family. It's not true. It's never been true. The love story is very integral, she continues. A lot of people wrote that we weren't doing the romance anymore. We were always doing that. It just wasn't what we were talking about on that day. I have had Waiting on a Wish, the new song by Ben Pasek and Justin Paul Rachel sings in the trailer, stuck in my head since I first heard it, and I cannot get enough. The vibrato on Mint just scratches an itch in my brain. What else has she said about the movie? Like the live-action Disney movies before it, the new Snow White teaser trailer shows off a variety of shots you know and love from the original 1937 movie. Unless you're Rachel Zegler, then you don't love it. But there's also a hint of modern edge that I'm excited to see in the final film. While the cartoon Snow White is pure sweetness, Rachel Zegler adds a touch of sass, spunk, and determination. I have no doubt she'll be able to bring the iconic princess into the modern age without sacrificing the goodness we love in the original character. But as much as I love seeing Rachel Zegler in the starring role, I was not expecting the entire movie to look so CGI. The live-action Cinderella was successful aesthetically because it used so many practical elements. Also, the storytelling was better. But so far, the Snow White visuals, from the animals to the dwarves to the cottage, seem a little hazy and lazy. However, some people are taking their critiques way too far and sending Zegler literal death threats. Where are your receipts? Where's the evidence for this? Fun fact, I will be dying 8 times a week on Broadway this fall, she says in response to a now deleted tweet. Get your tickets, Lee! Also at FBI. You can see Zegler star in Romeo and Juliet opposite Kit Connor. I haven't seen anybody lobby death threats at her, but I have seen posts where people contemplate suicide after seeing the movie. Like, this one person said, even if I see this movie on a plane, I'll walk out. Oh, shoot. Is this still the same article? All this? I guess it is. What is the new Snow White movie about? Based on the 1937 animated Disney movie, we already said that. The 2025 Snow White will follow a similar plot, but it looks like it'll focus more on the princess becoming a leader than the OG movie. Rachel Zegler went viral for her comments on how the film would change the original story. We absolutely wrote a Snow White that's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love, Rachel says in a clip from D23 in 2022. She's going to be dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. So she's going for like another tagline like Cinderella had. Was it honest, brave, and true? Something like that. I forget. Many internet users didn't like how Rachel phrased her problem with the original story, claiming that telling women they have to choose between falling in love and leadership is inherently anti-feminist. No, but she could fall in love and be a leader at the same time, one TikTok user commented. However, the extreme backlash to Rachel's comments was put in a new light after Priscilla star Jacob Elordi, who plays Elvis Presley, joked he didn't know much about Elvis except what he learned on Lilo and Stitch. Okay, but when Rachel Zegler said she wasn't a fan of the original Snow White, a cartoon by the way, and only revisited it for her role as Snow White, she's entitled and a brat, one user wrote on X. This just confirms Rachel Zegler hate is literally just misogyny. Say it louder for the people in the back. Snow White cast. Gal Gadot would star as the evil queen opposite Rachel Zegler's Snow White. We'll also see Andrew Burnap as Jonathan in place of the original film's prince, and Ansu Kabia as the huntsman. I love that Rachel is starring Snow White because she's always captured goodness and integrity without becoming harsh, which is a true feat. And director Mark Webb feels the same way. She has an inherent grace, poise, and goodness that reminds me so much of what is essential to Snow White, he told Variety. Will Snow White be a musical? Yes. It's going to be a musical, just like the original film. In addition to original songs like Whistle While You Work, La La Land, and the Greatest Showman writers Pasek and Paul, who also added a couple of new songs to the 2019 Aladdin, wrote some new tunes for the film. How many dwarves does Snow White have? Well, in the original film, she meets 7 dwarves: Doc, Bashful, Sneezy, Grumpy, Dopey, Happy, and Sleepy. After actor Peter Dinklage expressed his anger over the new story, You're still making that fucking backwards story about 7 dwarves living in a cave together. What the fuck are you doing, man? Have I done anything to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. He said in an episode of Mark Maron's WTF podcast, which I just showed you the clip of. Disney released a statement to Good Morning America saying they were changing the original story to avoid reinforcing stereotypes for different. Yeah, that's that statement I just read to y'all. I just showed y'all a while ago. However, the movie's first look clearly shows Rachel Zegler's Snow White surrounded by 7 dwarves. And honestly, we're even more confused than we were before about how Disney has updated the story, if at all. The original Dark Story. Do they actually show what the Dark Story is? In the original Grimm's fairy tales Snow White, the princess avoids even more brushes with death than she does in the Disney version. In addition to the poisoned apple, the queen also tries to suffocate her with 2 tight bodice laces, as well as a poisoned comb through her hair. Yeah, if you've ever seen the miniseries The 10th Kingdom, you would know this. Or at least read the original story. But yeah, that's that crap article. Oh, jeez.
We could have been a good couple. We could have had something special. But you one crazy ass bitch.
Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Yep. We're all fine. This movie's not going to do fine. Let's look at this other article. This one's more like, even keeled, more common sense, we'll say. It seems like, anyway. I haven't read through the whole thing yet. Let me get off these ads. Jeez. Ads. Bad Apple? How Disney Snow White remake turns sour. As its 2 stars fight over the war in Gaza, Rose rows over sexism, race, and the dwarves are turning fairy tale into a nightmare. In theory, it must have sounded like a good idea. At least to Hollywood movie studio executives keen to make big bucks by playing it safe with themes and stories that might be familiar to a mass audience. A modern remake of Snow White, cashing in on the beloved Disney original with fresh stars, A-list names, and a fairy tale with a happy ending that everyone could enjoy. It has not turned out that way. Oh, by the way, those names, they're not... Gal Gadot you can make an argument about, but Rachel Zegler? They've been pushing her to become an A-lister, but she's not. Disney's $300 million plus reboot of Snow White has generated a slew of headlines for all the wrong reasons. First, given the original relied on the outdated social mores of the 1930s, it rapidly became engulfed in a row over sexism, a debate over whether or not to keep the original 7 dwarves, and was plunged into the center of America's bitter culture wars over race. Well, the character is called Snow White because of her pale skin. Yeah. Conceived as having very pale skin. It even says that. Its lead star, Rachel Zegler, said she hated, quote-unquote, the original 1937 film and branded its story, quote-unquote, weird, was a stalker-like Prince Charming character who steals a kiss from a girl in a coma who could not give consent. Yep, so better to just let her die, right? That was the whole thing. True love's kiss brings her back. They were in love, so he gave her true love's kiss to save her life. She would have been sleeping forever. Then a row broke out over whether Disney should have 7 dwarves as characters. Then America's right wing piled on because of... Yeah, it was just the right wing, right? Because of Zegler's Latina background. The original Snow White was conceived as having very pale skin. Yes. All in all, it showed how the temptation of instant brand recognition could be trumped by the problem that many 1930s movies contain racial and other stereotypes that are simply better left alone. But last week, just to add to the movie's woes, Snow White also found itself embroiled in a fight between its 2 biggest stars over Middle Eastern politics. Yeah, if you don't remember, Gal Gadot is Israeli, and her co-star is pro-Palestine. Yeah, see, Zegler is an outspoken advocate for Palestinian rights, and Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, is a high-profile Israeli actor. Not surprisingly, the two have very different takes on the bloody conflict in Gaza. After October 7th, Gadot, who starred as Wonder Woman, in an Instagram post in December, called out the international community for what she said was its failure to condemn Hamas's rape and murder of women during the attack, in which more than 1,100 Israelis were killed. Godot also reportedly organized a U.S. screening of a film about the terrorist attack. She then did not attend the screening out of concerns for her safety, according to the Israeli-based I-24 News. Meanwhile, Zegler, who starred in the musical film adaptation of West Side Story, posted on X in May that she had been public with a pro-Palestine stance since 2021, and in an Instagram story in January urged people to pressure government leaders to support a ceasefire in Gaza, where more than 40,000 people have been killed, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Always a bad idea for for celebrities to come out publicly with their political beliefs. It's wiser to keep it under wraps. Then earlier this month, after Godot posted the Snow White trailer and a video of a photo shoot, which included shots of her and Zegler embracing, some people on Instagram praised her and shared Israeli flag emojis. Others posted Free Palestine and Palestinian flags. Shortly thereafter, Zegler shared a post on X thanking people for the 120 million views of the trailer and wrote in a subsequent comment, oh, by the way, those views, most of them disliked these videos. It's been ratioed to hell. And always remember, Free Palestine. She had to add that to her post about the Snow White trailer. Aliyah Malik of the Palestinian Campaign for the Academic and Cultural Boycott of Israel wrote in an email to The Guardian that people should boycott Snow White because of Godot. You see? They can't win. They can't win. You got people on one side boycotting it because Rachel Zegler's an idiot. The other side wanting to boycott because Gal Gadot's in it. They can't win with this one. By choosing to directly represent genocidal Israel, Gal Gadot's films are boycottable, Malak said. The boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement targets institutions, not individuals. Where individuals represent Israel, their activities are subject to the institutional criteria of the BDS movement. Malak supports a boycott of the film despite Zegler's advocacy for Palestinians and her starring role in it. We deeply appreciate that lead actor Rachel Zegler has publicly expressed support for Palestinian liberation, but that is not sufficient to undo the harm done by the inclusion of Israel's cultural ambassador, Malak wrote. This movie was doomed from the start. Joel Petland, superintendent of the Kiryas Joel School District, thinks Zegler was just trying to goad her co-star, who I believe has been subject to some level of abuse because she is Israeli. Still, he is not a fan of boycotts. I don't know how effective they are, said Petland, who'd responded to Zegler's post and has written op-eds for Newsweek and The Forward, and leads a district that educates Hasidic Jews students with disabilities. There are hundreds of people that are one way or another involved in the production, not just one star. I might personally choose not to attend it, but I'm not picketing the production. Israel's consul general in New York said Zegler should be ashamed of herself and urged people to buy tickets to the next Godot movie, according to the Israeli news outlet Ynet. How long does this go on for? This whole Israeli-Palestine thing. Thomas Doherty, a Brandeis University professor of American Studies and historian of Hollywood cinema, said boycotts of movies can effectively further a cause. He cited somebody need a proofreader on this article too. The 1940s and 50s blacklisting of actors, directors, and others involved in films because they were accused of being communists. Yeah, that was a while back. It was very effective for a long time in terms of keeping both these people and also some narratives out of Hollywood, so you didn't have an overt criticism of, let's say, the American capitalist system until the 1960s, largely because of these protests. But Amanda Ian Klein, associate professor of film studies at East Carolina University, thinks that blacklisting is different from what is happening now. The way we expect our musicians and our actors and our novelists to somehow mirror our political beliefs and our ethical beliefs, and if they don't, the feeling that you can't consume their art, I think, is not particularly productive. There's some people I do not agree with on a lot of things, but I'll still buy their crap. Like Stephen King, I think he's a lunatic, but he's a good writer, so I'll still buy his books. It's the same with, I don't know, I'm trying to think, what's his face? Ron Perlman. I'll still watch his stuff, even though he's also a lunatic. You get, but see, people were, okay, it goes into the boycott of J.K. Rowling's stuff. That hasn't worked, though. That's backfired. When that game came out, the Hogwarts Legacy game, the people were calling for a boycott, and it had the opposite effect. Like, the game was the highest selling game of the year, I think. different than a protest of, say, J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter author, has been accused of transphobia just because she doesn't want men in women's bathrooms or in women's sports. That's why they call her transphobe. Rowling is only one person, whereas as the movie has many people involved who probably have a wide range of beliefs, as evidenced by Godot and Zegler. Yeah, the difference being Rowling is the creative mind behind the entire Harry Potter franchise. Godot and Zegler, they're just cogs in the machine in this movie. In recent times, film studios have often shied away from making films that audiences can see as making a political statement. For example, Twisters, this year's sequel to the 90s film Twister about storm chasers, centers around extreme weather but does not mention the climate crisis. Yeah, I heard that they avoided that altogether because they didn't want to stir any, ruffle any feathers, you know. More about the Middle East. Okay. I guess that was it. Wow. They really went in depth on the Middle Eastern stuff. But that was the main takeaway I had was that this movie was really cursed from the beginning. So many of the live actions just did not turn out well. There's some I enjoy, like the Cinderella that was mentioned was good with Lily James and what's his face? Was it Richard Marsden that was in Game of Thrones? He's the one that got his head chopped off and replaced with a wolf head. Damn. Kate Blanchett was great as the stepmother. And then you had Jungle Book was okay. I actually like Dumbo. A lot of people didn't like the live action Dumbo, but I did. Beauty and the Beast I liked. Aladdin I liked. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's the only ones I liked that I can think of right now. Lion King was horrible. You should just let that alone because those characters in that quote unquote live action, the CGI one, were lifeless, like expressionless. I know you were going for a photorealistic, but that's the mistake there because they're supposed to be expressive. They're cartoon characters. The original, you know, so they're more expressive. Trailer parody, I already showed you that. Superman trailer. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover for this one. The Snow White is going to be a disaster. Yeah. I don't know.
Who hired this crew? This is undoubtedly the seediest bunch of cutthroats, villains, and scoundrels I have ever seen, so who hired them?
Disney's got a lot of work on their hands getting the public perception on this to sway their way. It's not going to happen, but they'd have to just get all their stars to shut up. They'd have to get Peter Dinklage, anybody else that could speak out against this movie to shut up. That's never going to happen either. So, yeah, this is just going to come out and be a disappointment at the box office. We can all assume that.